May all beings be happy. Today's lecture is the zodiacal sign of Cancer. Excerpt from the books of the Master Samael on Veyor. Cancer. From the 21st of June to the 22nd of July. Rules, the stomach. Metal, silver. Stone, pearl. Perfume, camphor. Plant, eucalyptus, cherry tree, and the violet. Flower, white rose. Planet, the moon. Color, silver. Element, water. Keyword, fecundation. Day, Monday. Ruler, Gabriel. Beloved disciple. Having already practiced the exercises of Gemini, we now enter into the constellation of Cancer. Throughout these studies, you have realized that we the Gnostics are essentially practical. Frankly, we do not like to spend our lives theorizing, we get to the point. We are tired of so much theory. We are essentially realistic. We want deeds, not theories or morbid intellects. We like effective realities. We head towards great realizations. All the spiritualist schools talk to you about supersensible worlds, but we go beyond that because we are more practical. We teach our disciples how to enter those worlds in the astral body and even with the very body of flesh and bone, in a totally conscious and positive manner. This matter about entering into the ultra-sensible worlds with the physical body appears to be strange to the theorists because they know nothing else but how to theorize, but to people who comprehend, this does not seem strange since, of course, this is as old as the world. In not so distant times, the physical body evolved and developed within the astral world. So what is the big deal? After this short preamble, let us fully enter into our present lesson of Cancer. Cancer is the house of the moon. Its metal is silver, its stone the pearl, and white its color. The moon influences the thymus gland and regulates the growth of the human being. The moon influences all of the milky juices in all living things. The moon adjusts the procreation of all that is alive. The moon governs the sap in vegetables and the rise and ebb of the tides of the seas. The moon has power over salt. Salt is the foundation of all that is alive. There exist 12 salts within our organism. These are the 12 salts of the 12 zodiacal signs. Cancer is the sign of the sacred scarab. Cancer is the sign of reproduction. Fetal conception is verified with the rays of the sign of Cancer. This is why it is the sign of the sacred scarab. In Egypt, the sacred scarab symbolizes the soul. The reincarnating souls pass through the sphere of Cancer before taking a body. Cancer produces the sickness that bears its name. Cancer is the karma of fornicators. The moon is the symbol of a secret planet that lies behind it. The violet hierarchies of the heart temple of the moon gave the vital body to human beings. The moon is inhabited on the side that is not visible. The Selenites are the most vulgar and laggard beings from our earth. There was a need to confine them there. Almost all the inhabitants of that city are women. These beings are neither good nor bad, but simply laggards. As they evolve, they will be given a body here on earth and eventually, all of them will have a body. Another small moon called Lilith, by astronomers, also exists. Lilith is the black moon. The souls that have already totally separated themselves from their monad, Atman Buddhimanas, go there. Those souls are of an indescribable perversity, and here they have to pass through the second death to which the Apocalypse refers, and of which Christ spoke to us. HPB refers to the Avicii and the second death in her 6th volume of The Secret Doctrine. The Bhagavad Gita talks to us about the abyss also. However, when we talked about this topic, in 1950, the spiritualists of Colombia laughed at us. I never stated that my physical person is responsible for confining the perverse souls into the abyss. This would be an absurd remark, since I am a man like any other. God is the only one who has those powers. Marvels of that nature are only performed by Atman, the great universal spirit of life, Alea, the supersoul of Emerson, the great soul of the world. These marvels have been performed by my internal God only, my Purusha, my superior being, my innermost, my internal master, my monad. My internal angel, before whom I have to kneel, because he is Atman, the ineffable. The internal God of any one of you can also do this, because Atman is the omnipotent and the ineffable. Masters are many, but the sole master is one, the soul of the world. The divine Alaya that seems to be many. Samalan Weir is the authentic name of a flame of the great blaze, before whom I must prostrate. Samalan Veor means will of God, and the will of God is what has performed such a task, which is to confine perverse souls into the abyss. Therefore, when we talk about the Avicii, we do not state anything new, since almost all the best spiritualists comment, describe, and mention it. Spiritualists grieve deeply that Atman, the great universal spirit of life, is acting through one of his flames in order to accomplish a cosmic mission. Yes, they become amazed because ignorance in its bold simplicity is a Celestine beggar, with whom one cannot have immaculate contact. Where is the wisdom of all these ignoramuses who criticize me? What became of it? The Avicii is a very old subject. Even Drive-e-Adum, Mago Hefa, talks to us about the second death in La Zarzade Orab. In ancient times, the personalities who were totally separated from their divine triad, Atman Buddhimanas, remained in the Avicii of our earth. See the 6th volume of The Secret Doctrine of HPB. Today, times have changed. We are beginning the new Aquarian age, and we have to isolate from this terrestrial globe those personalities that have already become separated from their divine triads, in order to cleanse the atmosphere of all evil. That is all. However, if this is reason for mockery from lecture hall spiritualists and occasional readers, whose fault is that? When the bridge called Antakarana, which connects the divine triad with its inferior essence, is broken, the inferior essence, trapped within the ego, is left separated and is sunk into the abyss of destructive forces, where it, the ego, disintegrates little by little. This is the second death of which the Apocalypse speaks. This is the state of consciousness called Avicii. In these cases, the divine triad, Atman Buddhimanas, is clothed with a new mental and astral body to continue its evolution, while the discarded personality is submerged in the state of Avicii, into the most inexpressible suffering. All the moons of the solar system are governed by Jehovah, but our terrestrial satellite is directly governed by the angel Gabriel. The magician must pay close attention to the lunar influences because all the sidereal energies crystallize in our terrestrial globe through the lunar forces. Anything that starts during the crescent moon progresses quickly. Anything that is done during the waning moon does not succeed, but fails. The new moon is very weak, while the full moon is very strong and serves in order to perform all types of practical magical works successfully. The last day of the moon means abortions and failures. Always do your business during the crescent moon so that you may succeed. Hitler launched himself against Russia during the waning moon and failed. When a star shines within a nimbus of the moon, it is a sign that a general is surrounded by enemies. The moon produces the periodic rise and fall of the sea level. The moon produces high and low tides. The moon attracts and repels the terrestrial magnetism. The magician must prepare his body for the exercise of practical magic. The magician's body is different from others because it is prepared. Exercise. Sit in a comfortable armchair. Close your eyes. Remove all thought from your mind. Focus the mind on your innermost and pray like this. Father of mine, you who are my true being, I beg you, my Lord, to enter into the heart temple of the moon so that you can bring the angel Gabriel to me. Perform the salutations, my Lord. Amen. Then address the 4 cardinal points and perform the following invocation of the angel Gabriel while blessing the north, south, east and west. Invocation. 13,000 rays has the sun, 13,000 rays has the moon, 13,000 times may the enemies I have repent. The disciple will pray to the angel Gabriel to prepare his body to become invisible, or to transform his face, stop a bullet or knife in a moment of danger, or to materialize any superior entity. Iamblichus, the great theurgist, made the sidereal gods visible in the physical world because he had his body well prepared. The angel Gabriel will occultly treat the spleen and certain centers of the spinal column in the disciple. When the latter can already make the angel Gabriel visible and tangible in the physical plane, it is because his body is prepared. Then, in a moment of danger, the disciple will perform the invocation of the angel Gabriel, and if the disciple wants to become invisible, the angel Gabriel will erase him from his enemy's sight, or will transform his face if the disciple so desires. The invocation will always be done blessing the 4 cardinal points. These exercises of preparing the body are practiced throughout our entire lifetime. When the theurgist has his body well prepared, he can make the sidereal gods visible in the physical plane. This requires patience and perseverance, because nothing is just handed to us. Everything has the price of struggle and sacrifice. The forces that descend from heaven, on arriving at our thymus gland, meet the forces that ascend through our organism from the earth, and there, in the thymus gland, the 2 triangles of the superior and inferior forces interlace to form the Seal of Solomon. Exercise. Sit down and imagine this marvelous encounter of the cosmic forces forming the Seal of Solomon at the thymus gland and, while submerged within profound inner meditation, pray to your innermost to enter the sidereal temple of the principal star of Cancer, to bring thee the principal hierarchies of that constellation, so that they may awaken your inner powers and give that gland a treatment. Vocalize the letter A for 1 hour daily. The natives of Cancer are peaceful, but too wrathful at times. They have an aptitude for manual arts. They are very sensible, and their character changes with the lunar phases. Things go well for them on long journeys. They are very romantic, amorous, and very Cancer. Upon leaving the body, taking the path of fire, of the light of the day, of the fortnight of the moon and of the northern solstice, those who know Brahma go to Brahma. The Bhagavad Gita 8:24. The yogi who upon dying goes on the path of smoke, of the dark fortnight of the moon and of the southern solstice, reaches the lunar sphere and is then reborn. Bhagavad Gita 8:25. These 2 paths, the luminous and the dark, are considered permanent. One becomes emancipated on the first one, and is reborn on the second one. Bhagavad Gita 8:2. For the being there's never birth nor death. Nor, having once been, does he ever cease to be? He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, undying, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Bhagavad Gita 2:20. The ego is born, the ego dies. Distinguish between the ego and the being. The being is not born, neither does it die, nor reincarnate. 3 are the types of fruits of actions: unpleasant, pleasant, and the mixture of both. Those fruits become adhered, after death, to those who have not renounced, but not to the man of renunciation. Learn from me, O mighty armed one, about these 5 causes, related to the fulfillment of actions, according to the highest wisdom, which is the goal of every action. Bhagavad Gita 18:12-13. The body, the ego, the organs, the functions, and the deities, planets, are the 5 causes. Any proper or improper act, whether it be physical, verbal, or mental, has those 5 causes. Now, such being the case, the one who due to defective comprehension considers Atman, the being, the absolute, as an actor, is stubborn, does not see reality. Bhagavad Gita 18:14-16. The Bhagavad Gita makes, therefore, a differentiation between the ego, the I, and the being, Atman. The intellectual animal, erroneously called a human being, is a compound of body, ego, the I, organs, and functions. It is a machine moved by the deities, or, in other words, the planets. Many times, it is enough for the waves of any cosmic catastrophe to reach the earth in order to launch those sleeping humanoid machines to the battlefields. Millions of sleeping machines, against millions of other sleeping machines. The moon brings egos to the womb and the moon takes them away. Max Handel states that conception is always carried out while the moon is in Cancer. Conception without the moon is impossible. The first 7 years of life are governed by the moon. The second 7 years of life are 100% mercurial. The child then goes to school, is restless, and is in incessant movement. The third septennial period of life, tender adolescence between 14 and 21 years of life, are governed by Venus, the star of love. This is the age of the sting, the age of love, the age in which we see life through rose-colored glasses. From 21 to 42 years of life, we have to occupy our little place under the sun and to define our life. This period is governed by the sun. The septennial period, comprised from 42 to 49 years of age, is 100% Martian, thus life becomes an authentic battlefield, because Mars is war. The period between 49 and 56 years of age is Jupiterian. It is clear that, for those who have Jupiter well situated in their horoscope, during that period of their life they are respected by the whole world, and if they do not possess the unnecessary worldly riches, they at least have what is necessary in order to be able to live very well. Very different is the fate of those who have Jupiter badly situated in their horoscope. Those people suffer the unutterable, they lack bread, clothes, shelter, they are ill-treated by others, etc. The period of life between 56 and 63 years is governed by the ancient of the heavens, old Saturn. Really, old age begins at 56 years of age. Once the period of Saturn has passed, the moon returns. It brings the ego to birth, and it takes it away. If we carefully observe the elders of very advanced age, we can verify that they certainly return to the age of children. Some old men and women once again play with little cars and dolls. Elders who are older than 63 and children under 7 years are governed by the moon. Among thousands of men, perhaps one will strive for perfection. Among those strivers, one possibly achieves perfection, and among the perfect, perhaps one knows me perfectly. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7:3. The ego is lunar, and upon leaving the physical body, it goes on the path of smoke, of the dark fortnight of the moon and of the southern solstice, and soon returns to a new womb. The moon takes it and the moon brings it. This is the law. The ego is garbed with lunar bodies. The internal vehicles studied by Theosophy are of a lunar nature. The sacred scriptures of Jainism state, the universe is inhabited by different creatures existing in samsara, born from different families and castes. Due to having committed several actions and depending on what they are, they sometimes go to the world of the gods, other times to the inferno, and sometimes they become asuras, diabolic persons. This is how living beings, who are incessantly born and reborn because of their evil actions, do not despise samsara. The moon carries away all egos, but not all of them are brought back again, because during these times, the majority enter the infernal worlds, the sublunar regions, the submerged mineral kingdom, the exterior darkness where only crying and the gnashing of teeth are heard. In this day and age, few are the disembodied that can afford the luxury of having a vacation in the world of the gods before returning to a new womb through the doors of the moon. Many are those who return immediately, carried away and brought back by the moon, without having enjoyed the delights of the superior worlds. The perfect, the elected ones, those who dissolved the ego, fabricated their solar bodies, and sacrificed themselves for humanity are blessed. Upon leaving the physical body with death, they take the path of fire, of the light, of the day, of the luminous fortnight of the moon, and of the northern solstice. They have incarnated the being, they know Brahma, the Father who is in secret, and it is clear that they go to Brahma, the Father. Jainism states that during this great day of Brahma, 24 greater prophets who have attained total perfection descend into this world. Gnostic scriptures state that there are 12 saviors, in other words, 12 avatars, but if we think of John the Baptist as the precursor and Jesus as the avatar of Pisces, the age that just passed, we can then comprehend that for each of the 12 zodiacal ages there is always a precursor and an avatar, a total of 24 great prophets. Mahavira was Buddha's precursor and John the Baptist was Jesus. The sacred Raskono, death, is full of inner beauty. The truth about death is only known by the one who has experienced its deep significance. The moon carries away the deceased and brings them back. The extremes touch each other. Death and conception are intimately united. The path of life is formed by the tracks of the hooves of the horse of death. The disintegration of all the elements that constitute the physical body originate a very special vibration, which invisibly passes through time and space. The vibratory waves of the deceased are similar to television waves that carry images. The embryo is to the waves of death as a screen is to the waves of transmitting stations. The vibratory waves of death carry the image of the deceased. This image remains deposited in the fecundated egg. Under the lunar influence, the spermatozoon penetrates the egg's covering, which instantly closes up once again, imprisoning it. There it generates a very interesting field of attraction, attracting and being attracted towards the feminine nucleus, which silently waits in the egg center. When these two capital nuclei fuse into a single unit, the chromosomes begin their famous dance, intertwining and re-intertwining themselves in an instant. This is how the design of someone who agonized and died comes to crystallize within the embryo. Each ordinary cell of the human organism contains 48 chromosomes. This reminds us of the 48 laws of the world in which we live. The reproductive cells of the organism contain only a single chromosome from each pair, but in their union they produce the new combination of 48, which cause each embryo to be unique and different. Every human form, every organism, is a precious machine. Each chromosome carries within the seal of some function, quality, or special characteristic. One pair determines the gender, since the duality of this pair is what produces females. The odd pair of chromosomes originates males. Let us remember the biblical legend of Eve, who was made from Adam's rib and therefore had one more rib than him. The chromosomes themselves are made up of genes, and each of the latter by a few molecules. Really, the genes constitute the frontier between this world and the other, between the third and the fourth dimensions. The waves of the agonizing ones, the waves of death, act upon the genes, putting them in order within the fecundated egg. This is how the lost physical body is reconstructed. This is how the design of the deceased becomes visible in the embryo. During the period of Cancer, before falling asleep in their bed, our Gnostic disciples must practice a retrospective exercise of their own life, like someone who is watching a movie from the end to the beginning, or like someone who reads a book from the end to the beginning, from the last to the first page. The objective of this retrospective exercise of our own life is to self-know, to self-discover ourselves, to recognize our good and evil actions, to study our own lunar ego, to become cognizant of our own subconsciousness. It is necessary to retrospectively arrive at our birth and remember it. A superior effort will permit the student to connect his birth with the death of his previous physical body. Drowsiness combined with meditation and the retrospective exercise will permit us to remember our present life and the previous one and our other past existences. The retrospective exercise permits us to become conscious of our own lunar ego, of our own errors. Let us remember that the ego is a bunch of memories, desires, passions, anger, covetousness, lust, pride, laziness, gluttony, self-esteem, resentments, vengeances, etc. If we want to dissolve the ego, we must first study it. The ego is the root of ignorance and pain. Only the being, Atman, is perfect, but he is not born, nor does he die or reincarnate. This is how Krishna said it in the Bhagavad Gita. If the student falls asleep during the retrospective exercise, so much the better, because in the internal worlds, he will be able to know himself, remember his entire life and all of his past lives. In the same manner that the medical surgeon needs to study a cancerous tumor before extirpating it, likewise the Gnostic needs to study his own ego before extirpating it. During cancer, the energies accumulated in the bronchi and lungs by Gemini must now be passed on, in Cancer, to the thymus gland. The cosmic forces which ascend through our organism meet at the thymus gland with the forces which descend and form two interlaced triangles. This is how the Seal of Solomon is constructed. Seal of Solomon. The disciple must meditate daily on this Seal of Solomon being formed in the thymus gland. We have been told that the thymus gland regulates the growth of children. It is interesting that the mother's mammary glands are intimately related to the thymus gland. That is why the maternal milk can never be substituted by any other food for children. The natives of Cancer have a character that is as variable as the phases of the moon. The natives of Cancer are peaceful by nature, but they are terrible when they become angry. The natives of Cancer have a disposition for the manual arts, practical arts. The natives of Cancer have a vivid imagination, but they must be careful of fantasy. Conscious imagination is advisable. The mechanical imagination called fantasy is absurd. Cancer people have a soft, shy, and timid nature and homely virtues. In Cancer, we sometimes find some individuals who are too passive, slack, and lazy. The natives of Cancer are very fond of novels, movies, etc. The metal of Cancer is silver. The pearl is its stone. Its color is white. Cancer, the sign of the crab or of the sacred scarab, is in the house of the moon. Inverential peace.